Exactly.
But people...
And whenever Pluto's involved, we're definitely dealing with collective things that have roots that connect, right? So the root cause of all of this stuff, all of these symptoms that we're experiencing, are the same. And during the Pluto and Capricorn years, well, many of the problems that we're dealing with on an individual level and also on a societal level are related to corporate control and the destruction that is being brought down by these corporations who don't care about your life or how you feel or how they've damaged you. All they care about is the dollar bill. So that's basically what we're breaking down today.
Right. So you're
breaking down for the folks.
Your experience with Big Pharma. Oh, so about, 5 years ago now? 4 years? Is it 4 or 5 years?
4 years, yeah, just over 4 years ago. I went to a walk-in clinic because I was having very mild symptoms of a urinary tract infection. But of course, when you go onto the internet, you hear all the horror stories, right? Like, oh, you have to get on top of this before before you get a kidney infection, and then you'll end up hospitalized, and it's terrible. And so, of course, this is back 4 years ago. Beginning of Pluto and Capricorn, so I didn't exactly have my wits about me fully. So I went to a walk-in clinic with these symptoms, and I was told that I was being given a very mild antibiotic by the walk-in physician. So I was given 3 pills, 3 little pills, and I took these 3 little pills, and on the 3rd day, I realized something horribly, horribly wrong was going on. Something was horribly wrong. I started having insane side effects. So I immediately went onto the computer to start researching this supposedly mild antibiotic that I had been given, and I walked into hell, basically. So I opened up the gates of hell with that internet search for Cipro, which is the antibiotic I was given. And what I discovered was that Cipro is a class of antibiotics called fluoroquinolone antibiotics. They're called fluoroquinolones because they have fluoride in them, which is a known toxin to humans, and that these antibiotics have severe, debilitating, long-term adverse reactions associated with them, including death. Okay, so I went into a walk-in clinic with a very, very minor problem. I walked out of that walk-in clinic with a problem that was epic and would be with me for many years to come. So yeah, so that's basically the long and the short of what happened.
Now, for folks just who are listening, not to interrupt you, but
go ahead.
I looked at the chart for the patent for this drug, and it was very similar to the chart for the Conan the Barbarian film, which I don't intend that to be humorous or anything.
Well, it is kind of. But
yeah, but if you think about the Conan the Barbarian, that is basically, it's like energetically, that's what you had going on in your gut.
Oh, absolutely. Not even just in the gut. It's like it's entire systemic poisoning. I saw someone, when I was doing research about the side effects, I saw someone liken it to an atomic bomb going off in your body, and that is exactly the way that it feels. That's exactly what it does. And so as I'm unraveling, you can imagine you're having this extreme, severe reaction. You're going on the internet, and not only are you not finding out that, it'll pass in a couple days, you're finding out all of this even more horrendous information about it. So what I found out was that Cipro is produced by Bayer Corporation. Bayer Corporation is, of course, also heavily into genetically modified organisms and chemical herbicides and pesticides. But Cipro was developed originally as a military-grade antibiotic to ward off anthrax attacks in Iraq. Okay, so this is intense stuff. This is intense stuff, to say the least. I found out that there's also a connection to Gulf War syndrome with Cipro because many of the soldiers who were sent into Iraq were given experimental Cipro vaccines against anthrax, the potential for anthrax. And I also found out that when the anthrax scare was over, right, what Bayer did was it repurposed this antibiotic as a cure-all for minor infections. Okay, so what's happening is these antibiotics are, again, dangerous, debilitating, potentially deadly, and they are being prescribed as first-line antibiotics. Fluoroquinolone antibiotics should never be prescribed as a first-line antibiotic. So in other words, every safer alternative should be tried before patients are prescribed fluoroquinolone antibiotics. And even then, they should be warned about the possible side effects of them. This is not what's going on. So it's a widespread practice these days that both physicians and pharmacists are dispensing these drugs with no warning whatsoever to people. So people are taking these. They have no idea that these types of reactions are possible with them. And so that's also an aspect of the Pluto and Capricorn years, because the physicians and the pharmacists don't listen to the patients. They don't listen to the people who are saying, we've had horrific, my life has been ruined by this drug, and that's been repeated many, many times. They don't listen to the people who are having the reactions. They deny that these reactions are even possible. And who the doctors and pharmacists are listening to is the pharmaceuticals corporations themselves. Okay, so they're looking to the information and research that's coming from the corporations who are manufacturing these drugs and selling these drugs. And that's sort of their primary source of information on these drugs, okay? Well, that doesn't cut it these days, right? These days we have to be doing our own research across the board about anything we put into our bodies, right? The other thing that's going on, of course, is that there's this culture of looking to the authority figure, right? And the unfortunate part about the authority figures is they're mostly bought and paid for. So in other words, the information they're giving out is going to be highly skewed to support their cash cow, okay? So the pharmacists and the doctors are looking to the pharmaceuticals corporations to tell them whether these drugs are dangerous or not, right? They're being willfully ignorant, and they're basically allowing themselves to be brainwashed by the pharmaceuticals corporations to tell people, oh, no, this isn't possible. This is just, one random poor soul that's had this problem, across the board. These are great drugs. These are fantastic drugs. So there's a whole huge kind of, when something like this happens, again, when Pluto's involved, there are multiple streams of corruption, right? Multiple streams of things not going right, and that's all sort of